All right, JSnip4 here, your YouTube pal, Realist News. Final video of the day. Before I get into this, though, I do have to give a little shout out, and this might be a type of this YouTube channel, maybe something that's a lot of my subscribers, or at least some of you, would be interested in checking out, because he's an engineer, but he calls him, I think it's Prepper Engineer or Engineer Prepper. I'll link you to his YouTube channel in the description box below. But he kind of looks at things. He has a nice little property with a few acres on it and stuff, little pond nearby, nice little pad. And he kind of looks around, how can I make this work with that, and how can I mount this panel here with this stuff. And he's kind of like a do-it-yourselfer engineer slash prepper, not really crazy prepper kind of thing, but just making things work, buying things, how we can go to the store and get some things to make this thing work, and if you got this lying around, you can make this work, and here's how you do that, and check for this, and like doing stuff around your property, putting stuff up around your property, useful stuff, using solar panels, just different stuff. And his name's Lewis. Lewis came down, I think, in 2015 to Florida. Was like, hey man, I'm a subscriber, I watch your channel, and the wife and I and our two kids, he has a little boy and a girl. We're going to be taking like a little, family vacation down to Orlando, and we'd like to meet you or have dinner with you or something, at least one night. And he told me when he was coming down, and I remember this clearly. I was just talking with my wife before he even reached out to me, and we were talking about, well, let's go to the Nickelodeon resort thing over in Orlando. And, you pick a hotel, it's a themed room, SpongeBob or whatever the hell it is. And they have kind of like a little water park there and two pools and stuff we can kind of relax at. And the kids loved it. I think we'd went one time before, if I recall. And we were getting ready to make plans to do it again when he sends me this email. And then in the email he says, we were thinking of going to the Nickelodeon hotel around this time. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. We were just talking about going there around that time. You got to be kidding me. I was like, imagine that. Isn't that weird how things like that work sometimes? So I'm like, that's crazy. So I tell my wife, she's like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do it. So I told him, all right, we'll be at the hotel. We'll be there before you, but when you come in. I think we were texting. I'm like, all right, I'm in the second pool, So I didn't know really what he looked like, but he came up, saw me, and like, oh, hey, Joe, I'm like, yeah. So we start chatting. We kind of hung out together, our families a little bit. While they were there, we were there. Good time. And then the next day they went off to do other stuff to, I guess, go see the, other parts of Orlando. We went and headed home. We've already done the Orlando stuff a million times. So, but it was nice. Met another family, subscriber of mine. So I know, we think alike, obviously, on a lot of stuff. Met him. It was great. It was good. I'd love to do that with other people. And I will say this before I get off track. Somebody emailed me, it could have been a month ago or close to, and we're like, hey, we're gonna be passing by you, going down to like Naples or South Florida or something, and I forgot when they said they were gonna come. And they said, oh, we'd like to meet you at least on the way down, maybe get a bite of lunch or something, And I went and I looked for the email, and I just couldn't find it. I could not reply to say, yeah, when you're getting closer to coming, let me know, and I'll try to make it happen. So if that's you, and you were coming down to, I think you said Naples or Sarasota, past that, further down, which Naples is way further down, send me an email again, my realistnews.net website, which goes to my other private email. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to link this guy's channel, and he's got at least a couple dozen videos or so already on there with some stuff. I was kind of watching some of the stuff he was doing, but might interest you. You may have a little property or some ideas you've been thinking about doing stuff, and he may have already done it or may have some good feedback for you. So this video is going to be another email I get from a subscription, which I don't pay for. I just signed up for an email subscription. I think, and I mentioned this before, I think you can go to his site and actually pay for a subscription, which I don't. I just enjoy seeing his emails from time to time that come in my inbox. And this is sovereignman.com. And he writes really. I mean, he's on point. He knows what he's talking about. And he's usually out of Chile, which this one looks like he is, Victoria, Chile. And his title of the email that went out, "A Great Story from When America Was Still the Land of Opportunity." So it's like back when America was America, you know. Here's an interesting story he's saying. "Last week, during a long overdue vacation, a close friend of mine recommended reading the autobiography of Rich DeVos, simply Rich. DeVos is a billionaire entrepreneur who started countless ventures during his 9 decades on this earth. Back in 1946, for example, he started an airline virtually overnight. He just bought an airplane and started flying people around. No rules, no regulations, just do it. They didn't even have an airport. The local airfield north of Grand Rapids, Michigan, where they were based, hadn't been completed yet. As DeVos recounts in his book, we put pontoon floats on our airplane and took off and landed in the Grand River, which ran along the airfield. His first office at the airfield was an old chicken coop that he found washed in the river and repainted. The following year, he and his partner opened up one of Michigan's first drive-through restaurants at the airfield, catering to passengers, workers, flight attendants, and spectators who came by in the evenings just to marvel at the planes. Again, no rules, no regulations. They saw an opportunity and they just simply went for it. DeVos started another business selling ice cream, another offering fishing excursions on Lake Superior, and another delivering trucks cross country. The truck delivery business was one of the more interesting ones. It started when he was just a kid. Someone asked him to drive 2 pickup trucks from Grand Rapids to Bozeman, Montana. There were no hotels or motels, or even interstates back then. So DeVos and his friend had to zigzag their way across cornfields, so to speak, to get there, sleeping on haystacks each night along the way. The book is a hell of an adventure, a reminder of how free and unencumbered things used to be. Back in America's heyday, people succeeded based on their hard work, ingenuity, and willingness to take action. They didn't have to spend 3 years filling out paperwork so that some government bureaucracy could justify its existence. Or, I'm going to add one. Remember the IRS? Occupy Wall Street? Some of the Tea Party movement, we wanted 501c3 classification for tax purposes. Denied. IRS. Denied, denied, denied. Some liberal group, approved. Some other group, progressives, approved. Another Tea Party, not approved. So, not only did they have to wait for some government bureaucracy to justify its existence by approving it, what about the little backroom deals like this? Oh, we don't like those people. Don't give them their certification, you know. It was an environment that created unparalleled opportunity and prosperity, which candidly have long since faded. Today there are rules for everything. In fact, just this morning, and this came to me today, which is Monday, I'm doing this. Today there are rules for everything. In fact, just this morning, the U.S. federal government published an astonishing 709 pages of new regulations. And that's just for today. They publish new regulations every single business day. So tomorrow, there will be even more. These rules make it more difficult to produce, to start a business, to sell a product or service to a willing customer or consumer. And these rules carry costs, whether it's in paying a fee, filling out paperwork, etc. So just imagine the effect that literally decades worth of rules and regulations has had on U.S. productivity, which is now noticeably contracting, even according to government data. It's also worth noting that roughly 30% of occupations in the land of the free now require some sort of government license. In its study, License to Work, the Institute for Justice reports that 45 out of 50 of the largest cities in the United States have put up substantial obstacles to prevent budding entrepreneurs from selling food from street carts. That's one I'll tell you about right now that really pisses me off. because like a kind of a growing thing, if you didn't know this right now, even with this regulation, is the whole food truck industry. And these people are potentially making $1,000 a day sometimes or more out of their food truck. Now that is money, but not profit. But that's money coming in. And even if half of it's profit, $500 a day, yes, please, sign me up. But the hoops they have to jump through, the things they have to pay for, the permits, the regulate, it is insane. So out of that money also has to come money to pay those fees and taxes and all this other crap. So they're left with even less. So maybe out of $1,000 day, they're left with $300 or $400, which is not bad. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would be happy with $300 or $400 a day, but that's still, they do have to use that money for, truck and other things. But nonetheless, they're still making some good money out there. But I'm glad he used that example because that's what it made me think of immediately. A manicurist in Alabama requires 163 days of training, while a shampoo specialist at a Tennessee hair salon must undergo 70 days of training, take 2 exams, and pay $140 in fees to obtain a license. Hawaii requires fire alarm installers to undergo a whopping 4 years of training, pass 2 exams, and pay $380 in fees to obtain a license. And a tree trimmer in California must also undergo 4 years of training, pass 2 exams, and pay $851 in fees to obtain a license. It's absurd. And I'm going to add one for you, for Mr. Sovereign. I'm going to add an additional one. Fishing license. Sir, did you catch that fish today? Yes, I did. I'm going to take it home and eat it. It's not just for fun. I understand. Good. You know that fish is about a ½ inch under the legal size? When I measured, I could have sworn, I'm pretty sure it was the legal. No, it's ½ an inch smaller than it needs to be. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Yeah, that's a fine. I'm going to have to fine you on that. Do you have a fishing license? No, I didn't realize I needed one. I thought I could just go out. I wasn't even in a boat. I was just off the side here fishing. Yeah, sorry, it's government property, technically speaking. So it's going to be another fine, and I'm going to have to confiscate the fish. So I came out here with nothing, caused nobody any harm, wanted to feed myself or my family, but I wasn't able to do it because I had to have a license, pay a fee. Fish wasn't quite as big as it's supposed to be, but I'm pretty sure it was. And here's another one. Sir, you have 4 fish in that cooler, correct? You know the limit's only 1 per person? Yes, sir, I know that, but I've got myself, and these 3 other friends of mine on this boat with me. Each of us caught our 1 for the day, and we all put them in the same cooler. Yeah, I'm going to have to fine you on that because the rules state each person must have their own cooler, so their fish has to go in there. I'm telling you a truthful story right now in Florida. Each fish will have to go in each person's cooler. But that would take up a lot more space on my small boat. We just thought we could put them all in one cooler. Yeah, you're going to have to see the judge on that one. And they had to go to court. No one showed up, as in law enforcement. Case dismissed. We don't even need to go any further. So now you got to take time out of your freaking day, go to court, miss work, bastard didn't show up anyways, you're free to go. Your fish are gone because they're confiscated, but you're free to go now. Have a nice day. Rules and regulations. Let's all sit back and think about that one. If anything I just read you, let's think about a real example that I just gave you. And I know I said 1 fish, but I actually think it's 2 fish. And that would mean each person could have 2, so that would be 8 out of the 4 people, and they all had them in 1 cooler, whatever it is. What in the hell sense does that make? If there's 4 people on the boat, and they're allowed 2 fish each, and there's 2 fish in this cooler times 4, 8 fish, why does it matter if there's 3 additional coolers on there? And this is absurd, and it should piss everybody off, and I know it does. Imagine being the person who got caught. Notice I said got caught, like they did something bad. You got caught? Cops got you. Oh, you got wrote a ticket. Oh. Yeah, I was fishing for food to eat. Oh, wow. Oh, you freaking criminal. It's absurd. Nothing that Rich DeVos, his partner accomplish in their teens and 20s is even legal anymore, by the way. It makes me think about all the people today who will never have the chance to realize their full potential thanks to the mountain of regulations blocking their way. This is an important point to understand. Looking at the data, the incredible overregulation, $20 trillion in debt, insolvent pension funds, etc., it's painfully obvious that the U.S. is past its prime in holding back millions of people from achieving greater prosperity. Rich Devos started so many businesses back in the 40s because the government stayed out of the way and enabled hard-working risk-takers to succeed. Today, the government spends $2 billion to build a website and churns out hundreds of pages of regulations each day. And that website I think he's referring to is Obamacare. And this trend gets worse each and every year. Understanding this simple reality doesn't mean that you're pessimistic, unpatriotic, or expecting the end of the world. It just makes you rational. Things change. That's the bottom line. The U.S. is still a fantastic place, but it's no longer the same land of opportunity it was when Rich Devos was getting started. As I've summarized before, the U.S. is a great place to consume, but an increasingly difficult place to produce. That imbalance has serious long-term consequences, which we are only starting to experience. And until tomorrow, Simon Black, founder, sovereignman.com. That's why I love this guy. He can find a nice little gem like that. The guy wrote a book. Reading the book, it's fascinating. Man, those were the good old days of America. And it reminds him why he's not here and he's over in Chile. And I sit here and say to myself, I work for a company, and that company has to deal with the regulations and this and that and all that nonsense. I'm just an employee. I see none of it. I collect my check. Have a nice day. But I also have a YouTube channel. And I thank goodness there ain't no real regulations yet for us YouTube video producers. You know, who get to earn revenue from these advertisements that play. Which, as I do always when I mention this, I must thank my people, you guys. Because without you, I wouldn't have people viewing with the ads playing and all that stuff. And I wouldn't be able to make a nice little side income. I love it. So for me, I'm living this guy's dream. The guy from the 1940s. I have a regular job, but my mind's always thinking, doing stuff. I happen to have a YouTube channel that took off decently. It's not the greatest channel since sliced bread, but it does good. It's good. I get an extra income. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not regulated, not taxed. That's fantastic. But if you want to go down some other path, like a normal job, start an airline, forget about it. Start some other company, regulations and fees, and your electrical's not up to code. The light switch is too close to the next light switch. They've got to be 4 feet. Light switches can only be 4 feet apart. Just get out of my way. Get the hell out of my way and let me start this business. I understand you want to keep people safe and make sure the building doesn't burn down. But for goodness sakes, get the hell out of the way. If we're in debt this much, which we are, don't you want to lessen the freaking regulations? Or do they put those regulations in place so that the big club members, who have plenty of time and money and profit to deal with them, will be the only people around, while the little guy won't be able to compete because he has to follow the same exact regulations? And I'm going to give you a little hint. The farming/dairy industry, cows. They've got to follow. You got to farm on your land with cattle that's grazing and roaming around. They can't pee and poop in the same field that they graze in. They've got to be, what? This is what these animals have been doing for millions of years. But big farm corporations who keep their cows stuck in a little pen forever, and when they pee and poop, it goes down a nice little drain system, and it's cleaned, and the little nipple things they put on the cows, teats or whatever, they've got to be cleaned and sanitized, and you're not really doing that with. Get the hell out of our way. We have jobs being created, we have consumers, we have people paying tax. Get the hell out of our way. And I hope Trump comes in and says that. I'm deregulating the crap out of everything. Have a nice day. Take care.